Since I'm a young guy, I have only one dream is to be a professional player.
There are football players who become famous. There are superstars who become rich. And then there is Kylian Mbappé, a player who didn't just rise to the top of football, but quietly built an empire so powerful, so valuable, and so carefully controlled that at just 25 years old, he stands as one of the wealthiest and most influential athletes on the planet, earning tens of millions every year, while the entire world watches his every move. But what most people don't see behind the goals, the trophies, and the headlines is the calculated ambition, the discipline, and the relentless mindset that transformed a young boy from Paris into a $300 million global icon who now plays under the brightest lights in world football. This is not just the story of goals and glory. This is the story of power, pressure, and an empire still expanding. Born in Paris into a family deeply connected to sports, Mbappé grew up in an environment where discipline was not optional and talent was not enough. Because from a very young age, he understood that if he wanted to reach the level of legends, he would need something far greater than skill. He would need obsession. In 2017, that storm exploded when Mbappé signed for Paris Saint-Germain in a transfer worth nearly $200 million, instantly becoming one of the most expensive players in football history and placing an unimaginable level of expectation on his shoulders before he had even turned 20. Overnight, he transformed from rising talent into a global investment. A player whose value was measured not only in goals, but in brand power, ticket sales, sponsorship deals, and worldwide influence. His salary skyrocketed beyond $70 million per year, meaning that every single day, whether he trained, played, or simply rested, his wealth continued to grow at a speed most people cannot even comprehend. But money brings pressure, and pressure destroys many careers. The question was simple. Would Mbappé survive it, or would he dominate it? He chose dominance. After conquering France and proving himself on the biggest stages, Mbappé made the move that had been whispered about for years when he finally joined Real Madrid, the most decorated and powerful club in football history, a place where legends are not remembered for potential, but for trophies. This transfer was more than a career decision. It was a statement to the world that Mbappé was ready to step into football immortality. The contract included massive bonuses, enormous salary figures, and global commercial exposure that pushed his estimated net worth beyond $250 million, placing him among the financial elite of global sports. But with Real Madrid comes something heavier than money, expectation. Because at Madrid, second place is failure. And Mbappé knew that joining this club meant there was no hiding, no excuses, and no comfort zone. Long before Madrid, there was the night that truly changed everything, the FIFA World Cup stage, where billions of eyes focused on one young forward wearing the jersey of the France national team. Under the brightest lights and the heaviest pressure imaginable, Mbappé didn't play like a young star. He played like a future legend, scoring in the final and delivering performances that announced to the world that a new era had begun. But that tournament didn't just give him a trophy, it multiplied his fame, it increased his endorsement value, it transformed him into a global icon. And from that moment forward, his empire accelerated. With hundreds of millions earned through football contracts and endorsements, and including major deals with Nike, Mbappe entered a financial level where luxury becomes normal, where mansions worth over $20 million provide privacy and security, and where high-end cars like Ferrari and Mercedes-AMG sit quietly in private garages. But unlike many stars who display their wealth constantly, Mbappe maintains a controlled image, choosing discipline over extravagance and focus over distraction, understanding that the true power of wealth is not in showing it, but in managing it, because his goal has never been short-term fame. It has always been long-term legacy. Today, Kylian Mbappé stands at a crossroads that very few athletes ever reach. Young enough to dominate for another decade, wealthy enough to never worry again, and influential enough to shape the future of football itself. His net worth continues to rise, his brand continues to expand, and his ambition shows no signs of slowing down. But perhaps the most powerful part of his story is this: he is not finished, not satisfied, not complete. And if this is what he built before 26, the real empire may still be coming.